When we talk about fashion, we only really talk about the clothing, shoes, and accessories. And that's no surprise, they are the star of the show and the main reason we're all watching videos like this. However, behind the scenes, there are certain items doing the hard work that make my life so much easier. They're inexpensive but highly functional, and I wish I'd known about them a long time ago. So in today's video, I want to shine a light on some of these items in case you haven't discovered them yet. I'm starting off strong with this list because this was probably one of the biggest game changers when it came to shoes for me, and it's the shoe horn. You've probably seen them, they're everywhere, but you may not have one yet. For some reason, I didn't start using them till about 2 or 3 years ago, but now that I have one, I couldn't live without it. What these do is make putting your shoes on an absolute dream. It sounds silly on paper, but you've all been there, struggling to put certain shoes on and mildly destroying them in the process. The shoe horn slides between your heel and the shoe itself, and your foot just slides in effortlessly. They're especially useful with boots and high top shoes that are notoriously difficult to get on, like Chuck Taylors or skate highs. Some of my tips if you're looking to get one are firstly to avoid the metal ones. Not only do they feel cold on your feet, but they also get misshapen really easily, and once they're misshapen they never really work properly again. Traditionally these were actually made of real horns, but I would recommend getting a solid wood one. They're comfortable to use, sustainable, won't get misshapen, and they actually look quite nice as well. My second recommendation is to make sure you get a longer one. The shorter ones look tempting because they're small and compact, but the longer ones are way more versatile because you can use them with a range of different boots and shoe heights. The longer ones give you a little bit more grip and strength, which makes putting the shoes on a lot easier. And because they're long, you can also use them standing up, which is way more convenient than it sounds. With the shorter ones, you're always going to have to be crouching over or sitting to use them, which can be a pain. You can get some really nice expensive shoe horns, but the one I've got is just a fairly cheap one from Amazon. It's made from solid wood, I think it's walnut, and it's never let me down. Believe me, once you use one of these shoe horns putting on your shoes, you will never turn back. Now if you absolutely hate doing ironing like I do, this next one is for you. This is a handheld steamer that does a really decent job at getting creases and wrinkles out of your clothes. It's especially useful for white button-up shirts that can be an absolute pig to iron. I find the steamer way easier to use than ironing. It heats up super fast and you don't have to worry about introducing extra creases to your clothes, which happens often with ironing, because the steamer takes out all physical contact. Don't get me wrong, this isn't going to replace an iron completely. Proper ironing is always going to come out with the best result, but it's really effective if you're traveling or in a rush or just need to freshen up a few items. The one I have here is just some random brand off Amazon. I just picked the cheapest one with the most decent reviews because they're essentially all the same. I'll leave a link to one down in the description if you're interested. The best way to use one of these is to place the nozzle quite close to the garment you're steaming and slowly run it up and down the garment. If you have a particularly stubborn crease, then maybe stay in that area a little bit longer and go over it a few times. If you find that water is spraying out of the nozzle, then you might be holding the steamer at an angle. Try and keep it upright. Inevitably at the end, your garment might feel a little bit damp because steam is just water at the end of the day. But leave it for a few minutes and it'll be nice, dry and fresh. Next up is the thing you see in most YouTube fashion videos, and it's the clothing reel. I don't know about you, but when I have my clothes in wardrobes or drawers, I get really frustrated trying to find the pieces I want to wear. And even if I have it extremely organized, taking out a few pieces messes everything up. Having the freedom to have your clothes on display and being able to move them around on a clothing rail is surprisingly helpful when building an outfit. Even if you're just taking your pieces out of the wardrobe or drawers and then placing them onto the hanger to see if they go together. Having the rail is a lot better than throwing the pieces on your bed or on the floor. You definitely need to have a little bit of space to put one somewhere, but in my opinion they actually look quite decent when they're out on display, especially if you want that industrial loft look in your home. And if you've got one on wheels, it's even easier to move it or hide it somewhere if you don't want guests seeing it. Depending on your space, you could go for a smaller lightweight version like I've got, or a much heavier duty one on wheels like I just mentioned. The real good ones are the commercial shop display rails that are built like tanks. If you plan on using your rail for a lot of heavy items like coats and jackets, it might be a good idea to get one of those. But no matter which one you get, they're extremely simple to set up, really affordable and very functional. Next up is another item for anyone that cares about the health of their shoes, and it's shoe trees. These are going to do two things that you will really appreciate if you're trying to look after your expensive kicks. Firstly, they maintain the shape of the shoe. You know when you receive a new pair of shoes and it comes with a bunch of paper or cardboard stuffed in them? That's to maintain the integrity of the shoe. This is especially important for leather shoes because it keeps the leather taut and stops it from creasing. The tree definitely shouldn't be stretching the shoe out because this would result in different issues, but they should add just enough bulkiness within the shoe to help it maintain its shape. Secondly, the shoe trees prevent your shoes from getting crushed. If you travel a lot and have to put your shoes in a bag or suitcase, the tree prevents the shoe from getting crushed by other items, which might cause damage or creasing, as we mentioned earlier. You can get a whole range of shoe trees, but the ones I have here are made from cedar wood and they're from Amazon. I use these in my nicest shoes because they have a really natural foot shape, and the cedar wood also leaves quite a nice scent in your shoes. However, if you don't want to spend much, then you can get some really affordable plastic and metal ones that do just the same job. I'm pretty sure IKEA even sell them, so it might be worth looking for some if you're going there soon. The final item is an absolute workhorse that I use every single day, and it's a sticky roller. These are an absolute gem, especially if you have pets. You just roll them over your clothes, they remove the dust and fur really effectively, and then you just peel off the dirty paper and you're good to go again. I've got a few clothing pieces that are absolute dirt magnets. No matter how much I try to keep them clean, they're always covered in fur. A quick roll with one of these and they're looking fresh again. There isn't too much to say about these. They're available everywhere and only cost a few quid each. They last quite a long time and can really save you from looking scruffy as you're about to leave the house. I'll leave Amazon links to the ones that I like to get down in the description box. And so those are some items that I use in the background and really couldn't live without at this point. If there are any more that you know of, please do let me know, because I'm always looking for small and inexpensive quality of life upgrades like these. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.